Welcome to the Green Transition Show with me, Dr. Francis Tuokun. Around the world, coastlines are disappearing faster than ever before. Entire communities are losing homes. Roads are collapsing into the sea. Fisheries are under pressure, and valuable ecosystems such as mangroves are vanishing. Climate change is making the problem even worse, but it is not the only cause. In, today, in today's episode of the Green Transition Show, we're asking the simple question: can we stop coastal erosion before it is too late? To help us understand the science, the risks, and the solutions, we are joined by our distinguished guest, Dr. Donatus Anurin. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Thank you so much, Francis, for inviting me to this show. Thank you.
It's been a while, and we feel privileged to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. The same thing here. It's been a while, like you said. We've been talking on WhatsApp, but yeah, today we have to face it on another platform. I'm happy
Yes,
to be here.
yes. All right.
Mm.
If you are watching us for the first time, kindly hit the subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and on LinkedIn. This will motivate us to continue to bring you such insightful conversations. You can also like, share, and comment on our videos. Now, Doc, I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to our cherished viewers and listeners, so they get to know you before we start.
Great. So, good morning to you. Good morning to all the listeners from around the globe. My name is Donatus Agnuring. I am a senior research fellow at the University of Cape Coast, specifically at the Center for Coastal Management. And recently, we have become an Africa Center of Excellence in Coastal Resilience, and we will soon be moving up to become an African Ocean Institute. In terms of expertise, my main background, I started as a physicist and moved on into being an oceanographer. So that means I read physical oceanography and then specialized into coastal research. And when you talk about coastal research, I'm looking at coastal processes that have to do with the morphology, the shapes of our beaches, the what is influencing these changes, the methodologies that we can use to address some of the problems, and then also some policies we can create. So I'm specialized in using remote sensing and GIS tools, and also some programming languages that I use to come out with my results. So I think in the line of the discussions, you will soon understand more. Thank you.
Thanks for such a detailed introduction. Doc, many people have heard of coastal erosion, but may not fully understand what it means. Could you explain what coastal erosion is and why it has become one of the world's fastest growing environmental challenges?
All right. So let me start with from the basic background. I think when we were in JSS, we or somewhere there we learned about coastal erosion, or not coastal erosion, erosion, where they will say erosion is the wearing away of the land by some forces. Yeah, so the same principle still holds, and it has to do with the wearing away of the land by something. Now, those things are the forces, but we have several types of erosion. We have one due to water, we have erosion due to wind, we have erosion caused by glacial processes like ice melting, and then we have coastal erosion that is also in a different form. So, talking about let's see, water erosion, we can see a lot in the landward areas where we have some due to rain. When the rainfall, it splashes and then erodes the sediment or the sand. And then we have rivers flowing and carry eroding soil away. Then we have several of them in terms of water. But since this whole conversation is about coastal erosion, I would like to zoom into that. So when we talk about coastal erosion, we are looking at the area close to the sea. We are looking at the environment close to the sea, and we are looking at how is this land missing? How is it vanishing? How is it disappearing? And I want to say that there are several forces that come to play. First, we have the waves. Second, we have chemistry, or let me say physics, chemistry, and then, yeah. So these are the two issues that come to play. The physics one, we have the waves, and the waves are carrying some sediment or sand away, including rocks. The waves use some of the rocks to hit each other, and then if the rock is so big that it cannot be moved, it breaks it into pieces and is able to move it. Then we have some chemical reactions. Some of the sediments or materials are there that they react to the salt water or to the water and becomes what they dissolve. And then in that case, the waves and currents that move along the beaches or in the water carry them away. So in terms of coastal erosion, there are several forces that actually come to play, but this is just natural process. We also have other human causes that lead to coastal erosion.
But sea level rise is often mentioned as one of the biggest threats to coastal erosion, or to coastal communities, I must say. How exactly does climate change accelerate coastal erosion?
Yeah, so previously there has always been erosion. That we cannot take it away. Now, when we talk about climate change, what we are interested in the UK, we are experiencing warming environment. The environment is becoming warmer. So if you want to know how climate change relates to coastal erosion, we have to talk about the intensities, the frequencies of what was already happening. Erosion was already happening, but maybe the spatial extent was small and the frequency, the temporal extent was low, right? Now, see, climate change is making ice, let's say, to melt. Regions that have ice were not melting as it is today. So, and what we know is that once we have climate change, then warming of the environment, places that were colder become warm, and then that includes melting of the ice, and this increases the water level. Now, overall, once we have uh, this increase in water level, it affects the waves that are generated. Usually, you know that when the water density is high, then we expect that the wind or whatever that is generating the waves should not have strong impact or should not be able to pull the water as much as when the water is light. So in simple understanding, climate change increases maybe the elevation or the height of the waves. And also we are now experiencing more of the storms. It intensifies the storms, and we are experiencing much more storms than we used to have. And these factors are the ones that are causing the erosion. So if we are experiencing more of high water levels, we are experiencing more energetic waves, then we should expect that the erosion will be high. Then already our coastal environment was known to be the environment that is low-lying. When we say low-lying, we are interested in areas that are, let's say, 10 meters or 33 feet close to that, below sea level, above sea level. They are not that high above sea level. So in such a situation, once we have an increasing water level, then we are going to experience more of floods, and we're going to experience more of erosion because of climate change. I hope
Um,
you are able to
yes,
confuse.
Yes, I'll probe further for more details. But if you're
Yes.
watching us, this is the Green Transition Show with me, Dr. Francis Tuokun. My guest is Dr. Donatus Anurin. He's a senior research fellow at the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. You can also follow us on TikTok, LinkedIn, and on Facebook. Also comment, share, and like our videos. This will motivate us to continue to bring you such insightful conversations. Doc, back to you. Beyond losing land, what are the wider impacts of coastal erosion on people and national economies?
Yeah, let me start with this one. So, you know that along the coastal areas, that is where we have much very heavy investments. Talk about the ports and harbors. Talk about the ships. Talk about tourism facilities. Take Ghana, for instance. Most of our castles, the forts, they are along the coastal area. The hotels, the beautiful hotels, most of them are along the coastal area. Talk about fisheries. Fisheries, all the landing sites, the most important nutrient, maybe if I may say now, protein is the fish. And all these things are happening along the coast. Now imagine you have your landing site that is eroded. Where are you going to land your canoes when you come? So apart from the land, we are losing economically, psychologically, culturally, and our livelihoods are all being wiped away. And the things I have listed um, include the things that we will lose apart from land. So it's a major issue that we have to really be interested in.
You've touched a little on this, but I want you to, give us more details. Many coastal communities are already experiencing displacement. What does this mean for local livelihoods and social well-being?
Yes. So as I was saying, when you have your whole family, let's say your clan, sitting on the beach, and then in 10 years or 5 years, that whole clan is wiped away because when we go to the field, we asked what is happening. Then they say, oh, we used to be 1 kilometer in the ocean. We used to be this distance in the ocean. Now they have to lose a lot of things. Their residents, they have to lose their, uh, how we attach ourselves to culture, particularly in Africa. So they have their shrines, they have their, place of worship, not only shrines, the churches, them, all the kind of religious bodies, they also face the same issues. Schools. So people have, when schools get eroded, because we have seen a lot. The children and the families who used to send their children to these places for school, how does it affect their education? So it affects them psychologically. And as for livelihood, I already explained. People are farming along coastal areas. People are fishing. All these coastal areas faced all these areas get eroded. So it means that they have to go and either buy a land, which is quite challenging. They have to relocate. So, and even to get a place to relocate and sleep all in is not a small task because we have areas that are highly vulnerable. We know that this place you are is vulnerable. We've gone to these people. What do you think about relocation? And you will hear a lot of stories. Where are they relocating to? And the financial or economic burden of relocation or relocating them is not a small task. And sometimes government has to come in, but even government who needs the land, he has to go and buy it from the individual owners or the family owners that we have in our area. I know it may be the same in other countries, but in less developed countries like us, less developed countries like ours, it's quite challenging when we have some of these hazards affecting us. So in essence, it affects a lot of people psychologically. It also affects us in our livelihood, and generally, it's a major concern.
Along the West African coast, I'm interested in the West African coastline. Along the West African coastline, which countries will you say are experiencing more coastal erosion? I know you've done a lot of work across West
Oh yes,
Africa.
yes, I have
Yes.
worked across
Yeah.
West Africa. That is why
Yes.
that's why I'm briefing in
Yes.
because the situation is, it seems that everybody is touched.
Yeah.
Come talk about Senegal, Sali, Saint Louis, those places. Go to Africa's how do you Grand Lahou, uh, they have severe erosion. Come to Ghana, the Volta area. Go to Togo, the Togo, Benin, Grand Popo area. They have a lot of issues. When you go to Nigeria, they have a muddy coast that is highly vulnerable. Go to Cameroon, they have a lot of issues um, that I know of. So I don't want to say because when you look at the intensity of the issues, it is not the entire country though, but when you go to each country, you can find some areas that are highly vulnerable.
Mm.
Yes. So in terms of which country is highly affected, it's difficult to say
Yeah.
for me at the moment, but then the impact is severe in many countries.
Mm. So it means no
Yeah.
country is left behind. So you can't
No,
specifically pinpoint to one particular country and say they are
exactly.
more. Yeah, I
Exactly.
get.
So if you are aware, there is this project called the WACA project.
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
West African Coastal Areas Management Project. That is why
Yes.
they are doing it for West Africa. It's not, and this is something I wanted to talk about maybe at the later part of the discussion. But when you tackle the issue locally, it will not solve anything. You
Mm.
need regional or a large scale implementation of whatever solution you think works so that it will reduce the impact.
Okay. So increasingly, experts are promoting nature-based solutions instead of relying on concrete structures. What are these solutions? What are nature-based solutions? And why are they attracting so much attention?
Okay. So, well, when you talk about coastal management, we have different types of solutions. We used to just say gray and green. Okay. Or no, soft and hard. We used to just say soft and hard. So when we say hard solutions, we are looking at putting boulders, rocks in several shapes, whether it is wall, groins, as a circle or T shape, you know, we have different shapes. Okay. But what the material we made up of what? Hard engineering structures like rocks. Sometimes yeah, but and then we also have the soft. The soft, when we say soft, that means we are looking at using sun or grasses or any other thing that is soft. You would see along many beaches, people have packed sand in bags and laid in front of the beach. That is, we say those are soft solutions. But as time went by, we realized that um, some of these solutions affect the environment. They affect the environment. And talking about climate change, they also impact climate change and they affect biodiversity. They affect biodiversity. So the discussion continues, and most of the scientists or experts in this area are now gearing towards solutions that are environmental friendly. So that is where I think nature-based solutions come in any case, rocks are natural. Rocks are natural, and all the hard solutions are natural. But the point is, they are environmental, eco-friendly. They're eco-friendly. So that is why uh, I think many people are interested in this. We don't want to put in a solution which transfers the problem to another person. And this was always found or is still found with some of the hard solutions. So when you put in rock boulders, they are very they are strong. They will block maybe your area, protect you, but they reduce the transport of sediment or sand to your neighbor. So your neighbor will start to cry. In that case, you have to go and put another one there for the person. So that is the issue with the hard solution. But the nature-based solutions we think are environmental friendly, and also we have different types. For instance, if you take mangrove vegetation, mangrove is a multi-purpose green infrastructure such that we can get what some carbon credits from mangroves. Okay, it also is an ecosystem that can attract maybe birds and other biodiversity. So nature-based solutions are right now we are interested in them because they are environmental friendly and they also keep the environment, give us a lot of benefits. Talk about the services they give us. We have wetlands, you have mangrove grasses. All these things provide us environments that we can or get other benefits from, like tourism and other benefits, services. Sorry.
Many countries continue to build hotels, ports, roads, and residential developments close to the shoreline. How can government balance economic development with coastal conservation? This is a difficult one.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I know you are moving into I think you are moving into your area now also. All right. But yes, this is something we cry about because uh we are the people who complain that, oh, there's erosion, there's this, there's that, the hazard, there's flooding. But I bet you, we are still going to these coastal areas looking for lands to buy.
Yeah.
We want to all stay near the beaches. We want to build there. So I think that it's not a major issue. If we want to do it, we can do it. The thing is just the willingness. So the solution, what I think can work is one, we already have some policies or laws governing all the coastal areas, if not only coastal area, all the areas. Okay. And there are behaviors that we expect from those laws. First of all, I think that if anybody wants those places to be secured and conserved, let's enforce the laws. Talk about the wetlands. Some of them are even UNESCO heritage sites. I mean, they are sites that are internationally recognized as conserve or reserve site that we know that you must not enter and build there or do anything there. But you can hear from the news, especially in Ghana. In fact, I'm a bit biased towards Ghana because I have a lot of details for Ghana. But I know it will be replicated. It can be the same for other countries. You can see in the news, people are building in wetland areas, and it doesn't only affect the wetland, but also the people who are there. It also, when there's flooding, it moves beyond even the area they have built and go into the city. So one, let's enforce the regulations that are governing these areas. Number two, I think that we should also plan. There should be a deliberate effort from, especially in developing countries that have not planned these areas. Let us do marine spatial planning of these areas so that we know what is supposed to be here and what is not supposed to be here. It also leads to avoid conflicts. So for me, I think this is number two that I think we should emphasize. And for us to conserve whatever that is by the coastal areas, we must must make sure we say, okay, this is a dedicated area for this particular ecosystem, you know. Yes. So I don't know, is there any other one? Yes. And yeah, maybe the last one is um, when we are dealing with these coastal areas, I also propose that we involve all the stakeholders. Yes. So if I am a farmer, I am a fisherman, I am having my own things to do there, and maybe government decides to come and do something. Okay, government decides to come and establish a sea defense. Sometimes you have to pass through the farm, you have to pass through my area. So we need to make sure we involve all of them. They also have even knowledge, understanding of the system that we, even scientists, don't have. So I think that one way would be to involve all stakeholders in decision making, and this will go a long way to alleviate or reduce our suffering in terms of conservation, coastal conservation. So I think on that, I think these are the three I have in mind.
Okay. But are there countries, that have successfully slowed or reversed coastal erosion? Particularly, I'm interested in Africa, particularly West Africa. Are there countries? And
Yes,
what lessons
yes,
can
yes.
we learn from what lessons can we learn from them?
Okay. Yeah, I think there are a number of countries. I can't mention a lot, but I can just do maybe three or one, about one in Africa. The type of solutions I mentioned earlier, these solutions, there is no solution that is extremely bad or only bad. So talking about implementing groins, revetment, jetties, breakwaters, they are all efficient, but they have both positive and negative. The purpose of which most of them are established are achieved. For instance, if your beach is eroding and you decide to put in a sea defense, it will protect that particular beach. But the adjacent beaches and the additional environmental consequences are what we have to look at. But thinking about solutions or countries that have implemented solutions that have worked, yes, there are a number, and they are widely spoken about. What I just want to clarify is that mostly it is not the entire country that those solutions are protecting. This is something we need to know. Yes. So I can start by saying, even in the US, there's this Galveston seawall, and that was done in the 1902-09 there because of some hurricanes and uh, hazards that happened there. And I can say is no looking at the characteristics, about 10 miles of length and 17 meters high, 17 feet high seawall. It has worked. It has worked since that time, protecting the people of Houston and let me say specifically Galveston. That's one. When you go to Europe, we also have a soft engineering solution there in the Netherlands. That was done in 2011. 2011, they used to have this severe erosion along the beach. Then they decided that let's pump sand from the seaside and nourish the beach. So they pump about I think 21 million cubic meters of sand from the sea and spread it into some along the beach, but design it in a way. And this sand, the trick is that is being used by the waves to spread along the coast to what? Reduce the erosion. In West Africa, we have had a number of sea defenses also constructed. In Ghana, we have the Keta Sea Defense. Okay. Keta Sea Defense was done in 2004, and I must say it has worked. It has worked successfully. We have other sea defenses, growing hard engineering that were done along the coast that are successful. Apart from that, in Togo, Benin, we have a recent one they did. They also did the sun engine or the sun motor. It's also dredging the sand from the sea and nourishing the beach. So their own was not that big, 6.4 million cubic meters of sand, but it covers, it is efficient for about 40 kilometers of coastline. So it tells you there are solutions that have worked. Yes, but from all these things I have mentioned, what I want to stress is what I said earlier. First, you must look at the scale. Okay, if you put this sun motor over a small area, maybe 100 meters, it will be washed away immediately by the seaways. Yes,
Yeah.
so we have to look at solutions that span larger scales because those it can help to reduce the issue. If you look at a very minute scale, it might not work as you expect. So in West Africa, we have solutions, but the prominent one, I think, is that of the San Moto in Togo, Benin, and maybe the Geta Sea defense. But other sea defenses are also there. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
If, if we continue with business as usual over the next 20 to 30 years, what could our coastlines look like?
Yes. Now, talking about the business as usual, that has become very human. Now you've brought it to us. Yes. So I didn't talk about the human actors. Maybe this is the time. But when
Yes.
you talk about coastal issues, we have the natural causes, which I've talked about, the waves, the sediment types, even the shape of your beach, the ecosystem that you have, whether it's muddy, sandy, rocky, or marshy, whatever it is, play a role in the vulnerability of your coastal area. These are clear. However, these things, these natural processes, ecosystems become more vulnerable because of our own actions. Because of our own actions. And if you go along many of the beaches globally, um, some countries or some places, they used the sun for other purposes. They mine the sun and sell it. Some countries, even some people along the beaches, mold blocks on the beaches because there are regulations that don't carry the sand away, and because the regulation is saying don't carry the sand, don't mind the sand, then let me mold the blocks on the beach and carry the block. After all, this is not sand. Anyway, so um there are people developing coastal areas. They build, in fact, they want to build in the water. And I think some countries are building in the water.
Yeah.
So uh, and we have people harvesting vegetation. They are harvesting like coastal vegetation, mangroves, all other plantation that are along the beach. They harvest it for other purposes. But remember that these things are naturally there to reinforce or to fight against or absorb the energetic wave conditions that come to that near shore. So once you destroy vegetation, there is nothing to block any energy that is coming. Once you destabilize the natural equilibrium of the coastal system, then you have no right to complain about coastal erosion. So I think that our actions will make it worse if we continue with business as usual. So, like we are trying to fight against climate change, the same should be towards our environment. Yes, you don't say we don't harvest mangrove or vegetations near the beaches. We don't build directly on sandy or areas very close to the sea and don't expect a retaliation from the sea. In fact, yes. So we must not do things that will anger. Let me put it this way. We make the environment angry, which it will come after us. So I don't think if we continue as business as usual, we'll have it easy. Right now, coastal erosion is rising. It is very, very rampant. I always say that when I started studies, maybe looking at coastal erosion in 2011 and along Ghanaian coasts, Ghanaian beaches, I knew the places that were vulnerable. But at the moment, everywhere is vulnerable. So I don't know which one is vulnerable more than the other. We used to say only in the eastern coast of Ghana is eroding. But now go to the west, come to central region. All of these regions are facing challenges. And like I know about West Africa, yes, it used to be only selected areas that I know. We used to have the Sali, we used to have the Sali in Senegal, we used to have some few areas. But now, Gambia, go to Gambia, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, all of them are having severe erosion rates, and we are losing the land rapidly. So business as usual is not a go, is not a go area. We have to try and minimize the way we behave towards the environment.
Doc, what are your final words?
So for me, I think that nature will always take its route or course because we'll continue to have waves. We'll continue to have the natural forces happening, but we should not make it worse. When they say no sand mining, somebody will say that, oh, how much sand are we taking? You know, but um, it can, if you continue, maybe your local area will soon have an effect. I've seen some local areas that they have mined sand, and now the place has become very vulnerable in close to where I work. So I think that we should try and support the governments or the policies, the regulations that are already existing, and in the end, we'll all have a safe environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. We are so grateful that you were able to make it to the show. Viewers, this is where we bring the curtain down to a close. If you have not subscribed to the channel on YouTube, kindly do so. Also share, comment, and like our videos. We hope to see you again next time. Once again, Doc, we are very grateful for you appearing on the show and for your insights. That was very insightful. We hope to see you again next time.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So